Welcome, YouTube, to another PairUcast. I'm Shaggy.
J-Lo.
And this is going to be a little bit out of character for us.
This public character.
Public character, exactly. We've stated before on this, if you've listened to our PairUcast before, you know that we've already stated that we're interested in much more than just, the typical, paranormal topics, which, are ghost basically, but to us the word paranormal is so much larger than that. And you'll see from what we discuss in this one, that's definitely the case. This will be on the website immediately, but if you're watching this now, you're probably thinking, why are they talking about this now? This is a couple months old.
It'll be uploaded probably like 2 months
Something
from
like that.
the initial release on the website.
And I think now it's a couple weeks old already, at this point. We're going to discuss our opinions and thoughts on one of the latest shootings.
The news reporter.
The news reporter
and
the cameraman. That was Virginia,
shooting.
Wasn't it?
Yeah.
It's in Virginia. Now, first thing we noticed, when you sent me the video clip initially.
Yeah, because I couldn't believe it was even on YouTube. I was like, oh, I heard it was first. I think it was on the news, but it was I was on my way to work and the radio was talking about it. So immediately I went to YouTube, just to see if I could find the original video.
Wow.
And as soon as I found it, I was like, I didn't really think about all the little details into it. But the first thing was, oh, I got to share this,
Right.
Because it just was too real.
Right.
To be, online so easily to see.
Yeah, because you said you had to approve that you were 18 to see it?
Yeah, the first time I watched it, I didn't. But then when I went to go watch it again, because the first time I watched it, it barely had any views, like a few hundred,
Wow.
Which is a lot for our videos if we get a few hundred.
Right.
But when I went to go the next time, just to see if it was still there, so I could share it, it had already some thousands of views. And it had said, you must verify that you're 18 years old because of the content, within the video itself.
And so what would you say your first initial thought was when you saw it?
The first thing that just threw me off right away was the flare from the muzzle.
Yeah, the cartoonish fire.
The little fire, because to me that was always a Hollywood thing.
Right.
I have never shot a gun in my life.
Yep, same here. We want to state that emphatically
so
now.
I can't say if that actually happens.
We're not experts.
But I've always understood that it doesn't. Not to say that it never does.
Right.
But I was always under the understanding that it's not like that.
Right. Well, what we're going to do in this particular PairUcast is we're going to go over all the different angles. We're going to discuss the conspiracy theories surrounding it, the points of explanation for those conspiracy theories, and just give our overall initial analysis. Sort of a pair analysis, sort of.
We're trying to break down the video without showing the video because
too many copyright strikes, I think.
The video's being taken down.
Right.
The link I sent you, which was like a week ago.
Right.
Yeah, it's already gone, and I can't find that same footage.
Right. Now
again,
I will state also,
there,
to be open, about all this, full disclosure. I am considered the conspiracy theorist among, friends, family, and coworkers. So, I'm just going to I'm going to state that out there, I believe typically the official story that we're told by the government, by the media, by, your three-letter and multi-lettered alphabet agencies is worthless, and you could take it to the bathroom and use it for toilet paper. Now, I'm just going to be honest about that. That's my opinion with a lot of those, and you'll find that as these progress and we discuss these. But that aside, my first initial thought when I saw the video was, this looks like, what is this? This looks fake. I mean, what am I looking at here?
Uh-huh.
Because again, it was just a 25-second clip, something like that.
Yeah, I mean,
there was really nothing to go on. There's just what appears to be a news reporter interviewing some lady. There's from the first scene you see, there's another guy off to the right hand side of the gunman, and it looks like he's playing Call of Duty. He's got live action and he's holding his gun out there, waving it around, and no one's doing anything. And then all of a sudden he starts shooting, and there's screaming, and first thing I thought was, this looks fake, and that was my initial thought without knowing anything about it.
yeah, I didn't know. I mean, I had heard it about, on the radio.
I had at that point when you sent it
And
to
so
me.
that's when
I
I
didn't
went
know
to go
nothing
and search
about
it.
Yeah. So when you start to really dig into it, you see that there's so many things about it that looks, that makes it even look that much more fake. The fact that, first of all, point number one, he's waving a gun around, he's filming himself and them, and no one is the least bit concerned that there's a guy standing just, 5-10 feet away, judging by what it looks like, would you say? Somewhere in that range.
Uh-huh.
And nobody's worried about it at all. Now, from what we understand, the explanation of that first problem is that reporters are trained to ignore, belligerent people that'll be around them.
Because they need to focus on on what they're doing.
Because they do have jackasses. Yeah. They do have jackasses that are always interfering. I got that totally. The problem with that, no one that has brought that up has mentioned the fact that the person that's being interviewed, that has a clear line of sight to the gunman, is not a trained person to block out their surroundings. And a normal person, when you're in a situation, talking, doing whatever, your natural instinct when you see movement or whatever is to turn and look.
Mm-hmm.
And I do not believe for a second that lady couldn't have seen that guy. He's waving a gun around, he's going to be in her peripheral off to the left, from her position. I just have a problem believing she wouldn't have turned and looked at the guy, saw that he had a gun, interview over,
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's problem number one for me. What do you what ye say to that?
Well, the gun itself, you didn't see any shells.
Right,
flying
that's
out.
another issue.
Yeah.
And we've seen video footage of people that analyze this, that videotape
All you heard was
themselves.
shells falling.
Right. Yeah. But
No.
but the video, like you showed me, there's a guy that videotaped himself one-handed shooting a gun, and you see
there's
the
a
reaction,
lot
a lot of
recoil. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You see the shots hitting the dirt, so you see the impact.
Mm-hmm.
You see the shell casings flying out. Okay, so you then compare that to the footage we're led to believe is real, and according to the police reports, right, and what we're being told is that was hollow points that this guy is shooting. He's shooting that lady, the reporter, at almost point blank range. Not quite, but close range.
That anyone would consider it point blank.
I certainly would. He was that close to her, and he gets off at least 3 rounds directly aimed at her, and all she does is scream, back up, turn and run. I, again, never shot a gun, don't know really anything about them, but from what I have understood with hollow points, that should have ripped through her, and she should have dropped. You know,
Yeah, because from the footage that we've seen, it's not the greatest footage.
No.
The shooter's
right.
perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And when the first shot fires off and they play it back in slow motion, you don't see anything.
Right. You don't see any impact.
Any impact
right.
or entrance, you know.
Right. You don't see, exactly. And supposedly...
I'm not saying that there's going to be blood squirting out.
Right,
you know,
but I would expect to have seen some blood at some point in the video.
Yes.
But, hollow points, again.
Yeah.
But, you don't see any impact of any kind, and supposedly he fatally shot her. I mean, what? And she turns and runs. Now, the excuse that's given to explain that is adrenaline. Adrenaline kicked in, and she ran. The fight or flight, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, I don't buy that. I don't agree with that. Hollow points, that close range, should have dropped her. I mean, that's what I understand. I could be wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I could be wrong about what hollow points at that close range can do to a body, but I don't think so.
And you don't see the shells.
You don't see the shells.
And you don't hear them drop on either footage.
The recoil
from
doesn't
the
seem to
cameraman
be accurate.
Or the killer, the shooter.
Right. The gun noise doesn't seem to be loud enough in his own
to the ear of the cameraman.
Right.
Yeah. He didn't react, right.
Exactly. And then the cameraman, okay, when the first three or four shots are going off, he doesn't seem to move at all. In just a little bit. But he's the closest person to the gunman. And he doesn't even turn to look? Did he not hear the shots go off? If you watch the footage, at least the first 2, maybe 3 shots, he doesn't move at all, really.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand that. Again, people would say, well, you've never been in that kind of situation. You don't know how you would react in that kind of situation. Well, yes, but...
we've never been shot. Obviously, you've never been shot.
Never been shot. Never shot a real gun.
The sound alone would make you jump and twitch,
Exactly.
So I could understand their reactions to, maybe,
yeah.
Because the sound, but,
right.
Being hit, I can't, tell you that.
Exactly. But in the interest of my motto of question everything and believe very little, even questioning the conspiracy aspect of it, who were these people? They're supposedly a reporter. Yeah, this lady, this is a real reporter. The cameraman. Who are these people? They have history. They've been at at this TV station, whatever. Where are they now? If this was hoaxed, if this was faked, and they didn't get shot, they didn't die, where are they? See, this is an angle that the conspiracy theorists, they never even bring up. I'm not saying I believe that this was legitimate. I believe this was fake, based on what we've seen.
Based on the evidence.
But if this was a real reporter and a real cameraman, and they've got history at the, WD, what was it, WDBJ? Insert your joke
right.
here. But they were there. They should have history. They ran down this list of things about the guy, the shooter. He was a light-skinned black guy who was also gay. So look what you got there. You got racial stuff. You got the homosexual agenda, and you've got, gun control, all wrapped up in a nice package. Now again, I'm not saying that's what it is, but that's interesting. I mean, you cannot say that's not interesting when you look at that aspect of it.
And on
with
the
what's
news,
going on
and
right
on the
now.
news, I know you're not familiar with TV these days.
Yeah, I ain't got none.
But
that stuff will rot your brain.
I was flipping channels, not specifically looking for that, and I seen that they were talking about it, and the father of the Alison,
Is that, yeah, the anchor woman, the
Yes.
news reporter, or whatever it
He
is.
was on, and all I heard was gun control.
Gun control, yeah. Her body, no offense to anybody, but her body's not even in the ground yet, I'm assuming, by that interview time frame.
No.
And
I
he's
don't
already
believe it
talking
was.
about gun control. Now, look, this is where I'm going to get serious about
That
it.
was the day of me hearing about it on the
Right.
radio, because
Right.
supposedly have it the day before, so this was the day after.
So again, never having a gun in my life, I do not own a gun, haven't shot a gun, but if that was my child that had been shot, and first of all, I wouldn't have been interviewed. I'd been messed up. You wouldn't have been interviewing me, that's for sure. I wouldn't want to talk to y'all about nothing, but if I had, or whenever I did, I wouldn't have been talking about gun control. I would have been talking about if more people had guns, maybe this kind of stuff wouldn't happen. If that cameraman would have been armed and packing, maybe he could have dropped that fool if this was real. But I'd also be talking about, I'm going to go get a gun, and hopefully, the cops get to him before I do. That would be my thought process, not we need more gun control. It just sounds so ridiculous to me. Well, what do I know?
And also the footage keeps disappearing from the shooter.
Yeah, the shooter's perspective.
The footage keeps disappearing everywhere.
First-person shooter perspective.
And then when you find it, they're cutting off. I can understand where they're cutting off. As soon as the gun raises, they're not showing beyond that point. Understandable.
Well,
But,
yes and no. A lot of the issues seem to center around that particular piece of footage.
That's
They're
true.
cutting that off.
From the if this is real,
Right.
Understandable.
Right.
If this is a hoax,
Understandable. So it goes both ways.
yes, I can see.
Okay, so apparently the shooter, again, he was a light-skinned black man, and he was gay, homosexual, and supposedly got discriminated on both counts. Now, from what we understand, he was overly sensitive about both issues, and he took everything the wrong way. Now, this is what we've heard through official stories, if you can trust those. But, supposedly he filed complaints, lawsuits, discrimination cases, which were thrown out, and then he was let go. And so he supposedly did up a manifesto, talking about all this and putting it all down. He also supposedly did it in response to the Charleston? No. Where was it? The church shooting.
I think
was it Charleston? I don't know. I could be wrong about that.
Yeah.
But the shooting where the skinny little white racist guy supposedly went into an all-black church, sat there for like an hour, and then opened fire on him.
Yeah, I don't know if he would, talked about that or not.
Well,
I've heard of that story.
Yeah. Supposedly, in his manifesto, he also claimed that he was doing it in retaliation for that, because he was black and they were white. So again, racial issues. He was gay and he was hated on, so that's homosexual issues and gun control. All really hot topics right now, very interestingly enough. I'm just saying, you can't argue that. That is fact, that those are hot topics now, and those were things supposedly claimed in his manifesto. Not gun control, but that's what's being brought up.
Oh, and let's go back to the video again.
Yeah.
The cameraman who worked for WBJ,
Something like that.
when he was shot,
Oh yeah. Oh, here we go.
he didn't let go of the camera that he was holding.
Right.
Huge camera.
Rode it to the ground.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
And it was a gentle drop
Right.
to the ground, the way he landed.
Mm-hmm.
And if I were to display it, I'm not going to, go that far. I know what you're...
I thought you were good.
No.
He went down like Shaq.
Kevin Hart did a Shaq piece. You know, and for some of y'all, just search it.
Yeah, do a search and you'll see what we're talking about.
Yeah, but the cameraman, he went down too gently.
Yeah.
If it was, if my life was in jeopardy here, I'm gonna, if he shot me in the head, I don't know where the cameraman was shot, honestly.
Right. True.
If he was shot in the head, he's dropping.
Right.
Camera gone. He's not holding on to it.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a strap and a mount, but he's still fall. fast, hard.
There are a lot of factors to consider, you know.
Yeah.
But like you're saying, it was the camera. You know, is that thing strapped onto him?
It just, you know, it just seemed like, you know, I'm sure there was some shoulder mount.
Right.
You know, 'cause those things are heavy. And you saw the back of the camera from the shooter's perspective.
Right.
So, you know, it had a old cell phone battery, you know, the big one.
Right.
And when he fell, it just seemed like he turned, looked, and then he just kind of like.
And like you pointed out, and others have too, the footage of the shooter was all blurry looking.
Yeah,
Now,
they say, you know, the cameraman caught, you know, video footage.
Right. It was pixelated and blurry.
Yeah,
and
it was.
now,
But
could
everything
that
else
be-
was in HD.
Right. Now, I would assume that kind of camera could handle the speed of the movement and still record in quality.
Oh, yes.
You would think it would.
You're talking about, you know, frame rate and, you know.
Exactly. So in other words,
if it was
he
a
shouldn't
photo,
have been.
you know, you're talking about shutter speed, you know, stuff like
unless
that.
he shot the camera and that, you know, caused some failage to take place in the pixels. I don't know how any of that works either. But if not, you would have expected to have a clear image also. You know, but again, I go back to what I said initially when the shots first rang out. He's the closest person to the shooter. I mean, he's got a camera that big. Why didn't he turn and look at where the shots were coming? He was the closest person to him. And if that's not strapped to him, I mean, he was close enough that he could have taken that camera and knocked the crap out of that dude. He shot 3 or 4 times directly at the female.
Yes.
In that time, he could have turned and hit that dude with that camera. Now again, I know I wasn't there. I hear people in my ears right now screaming, "You don't know how you would react if you were there." This is true, but I still tend to think that's a possibility. He doesn't even turn and look at the guy. Come on.
As he's dropping.
Right. And again, if you compare other footage of real shooting, you know, and you compare it to this, there's problems with the video. It does look fake. There's issues with it. But again, questioning everything, where are these people? If that was a real news reporter and there is history and you could see that she was a reporter, the guy's a real cameraman, they've been doing this for X amount of years or months, whatever, there's a paper trail, there's evidence that they did this. Where are they now? Well, the true believers in the official story, I call the sheeple that will believe anything that they're shown, you know, they'll say, well, they're dead and they're buried. Case closed. I don't know. I mean, I don't know where, I mean, other than perpetrating the, you know, gun grab, trying to bring about more gun control, which is what a lot of the conspiracy theorists will say. That's what this is about. That's the agenda at foot here. With the exception of that as being the reason, what else would be the reason? I mean, why perpetrate this hoax in the first place, and then what do these people have to do? Where do they go underground, or are they killed, later on down the line?
So are they possibly using the racial, sexual, you know, as a distraction for the gun control agenda?
It seems to be
and there was mentions of the guy possibly being, you know, somewhat mentally unstable. I don't know.
Oh, that's always brought up. It's the lone crazed gunman.
Yeah, I don't know if there was any issues with him at all.
Yeah, I think that was brought up as well. But something else we mentioned too.
Unless he just had a temper.
I don't remember his name, his full name, but Lee was his middle name. And when you hear the people reporting on these people, they always include the middle name. You know, da 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 da. Every time they always include it. It's like they want to instill that into your mind. I mean, they've done that with these kind of people: assassins, gunmen, serial killers. You know, Lee Harvey Oswald, John Wilkes Booth, even all the way back to Lincoln. You know, and everybody in between. They always include the middle name, and a lot of times they have, you know, a first name and a middle name, it's also like a first name.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like, it's weird. You know, what you know, is there something going on with that? But
Yeah.
you know, again, going back to the whole, what would be the purpose in faking this? Where are these people now? You know, there's so much supposed, you know, documentation from the, you know, police reports, the TV station. You know, they supposedly had, you know, all this because a lawsuit was filed. You know, the guy claimed discrimination. You know, all this stuff happened. He wrote up this big manifesto. If all of that is real, and he actually did this, then why does it look so fake? I mean,
Yeah.
so I don't know that the overall. I don't know about you. My overall opinion of this video footage is it looks fake. I don't see the gun acting properly as you would expect it to. I do not see the people that supposedly got killed, got shot. They don't appear to be acting like you would expect. Again, no shells, no blood, no bodies dropping. It doesn't look real. But keep going back. Why hoax this in the first place, and where are the people? You know what? This is how all of them are. You know, Sandy Hook. You know, all those little kids that supposedly got killed. Where are they?
And also,
You know, what's the purpose in doing these things? Gun control? Is that what it's all about? Is it to instill fear? Is it keep everybody on edge? You know.
and back to that video of the other guy, you know, where he, you know, compares and he shows, you know, his own gun. Well, he's recording himself, just like the shooter did. And if you notice, you know, when he gets the coil back from the shooting, his camera also moves nearly with it, because he's basically doing that.
Right.
You know what I mean? With the gun.
Right. The guy actually shooting a real gun, and he's hitting the dirt. You see it,
Yes.
Right? Yeah, that video.
The other
pretty telling.
footage stays pretty still for somebody who's shooting, you know, multiple times.
Good point.
Like me,
So again, it looks fake.
I couldn't do that. I would have, I would shoot and then my focus would be right here, because that's where my mind is on, and then my camera would just go out of ways.
Right.
You know, it's like being the cameraman, you know, recording ghost hunting. I've done that before where I was doing something else.
Right.
And I lost focus on the camera.
Right.
Which way the camera was facing.
Else. Right.
You know.
You know, and this also, it's, you know, talking about all of these shootings that them going on, 5 years now, 10 years tops. These types of shootings, maybe not even that much. Whereas these random, you know, crazed gunmen, the Batman shooter in the theater. There's been a few other theater shootings. There's been Sandy Hook. There's been the I guess you could, the Boston bombing's not the same thing, but these different types of lone crazed gunmen. The guy at the church, you know. Before, you know, if you go back a few decades, back, you know, 60s, 70s, maybe even into the 80s, the big thing was serial killers. You know, when was the last time you heard about a serial killer? Where it was on the news, you know, the so-and-so killer strikes again. You know, the police are baffled. You know, and people are all worried about a serial killer that's abducting and, you know, torturing and eating people. You don't hear about those anymore, at all. Now it's the lone crazed gunman who goes into a theater, you know, with orange hair and shoots the place up. You know, or this skinny little kid that supposedly drags in all of this, you know, weaponry into a school and wastes a bunch of kids. Or this guy who shoots the, you know, but and then typically they turn the gun on themselves. You know, or they get caught and they look like a drooling vegetable, like the Batman shooter. No serial killers anymore, though. Just lone, you know, crazed gunmen who have mental issues. I find that interesting. You know, where did all the serial killers go? I mean, I don't hear anybody mention that either. just thought I'd bring that up as an observation. What happened there? So I don't know. Overall, I already said what I feel my analysis is on this video. What do you say?
I already did.
You say the same thing, huh?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I mean, I don't understand, all the ins and outs. Where are these people now? Because again, if it's fake and they didn't get killed, where are they? Can't explain that. But the video footage that they've shown us does not look real.
And the clip that I had sent you was the shooter's footage, and then right after that was the cameraman.
The cameraman's.
Yeah.
And you're going to have trouble finding the first-person shooter perspective at this point, because they're taking them down rapidly. And by the time you watch this video, it'll probably be completely gone.
And that's why we're not showing it.
Right, because we don't want to get, strikes and video takedown.
Yeah.
So.
But we can discuss what we want, because this is our show.
Yeah, we run this.
That's right.
Okay. Huh. Well.
It was all in your mind.